Hello, I'm Dr. Warren, and today I want to run through a very exciting announcement from the NIH about post-treatment Lyme or chronic Lyme. And I just want to keep people up to date on some exciting things happening, talk about some of the good, some of the frustratingly bad parts, and let's go through it here. So it's very exciting. For those of you who've been following me, I've been fighting this Lyme disease fight for over a decade when my wife got it. And a decade ago, we really did not have modern scientific research backing up that Lyme was causing chronic problems. And after really 30 years of fighting for that, the CDC finally acknowledged chronic Lyme. What's now being called post-treatment Lyme is a real thing that happened spring of 2022. Now, as of July 21st, 2023, we have this announcement from the NIH that they're funding research into post-treatment Lyme syndrome. I really just want to run through this article. I'll highlight the exciting parts and I'll highlight kind of some of the frustration and just realities of how far behind they are. So really exciting on one hand, and I'll kind of talk through the limits on the other. But I think this is very important for all those who may have been struggling to realize that this is a real thing. And I know that was an experience that I had and my family had, was doctors saying, well, Lyme isn't real and chronic Lyme's not real. And now that all is just being proven wrong. Okay, so let's just go through. NIH awards will fund post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome research. Just the fact that it's real means you can fund research, and that's really exciting. They're going to be awarding 5 projects, super cool, on post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome. Now, this is the new name for chronic Lyme. This is going to be the name going forward. Do I like the name? No, not really. You can't be in a post-treatment group unless you've been treated. And so because you have treatment in the definition, they've created a group of people that still are slipping through the system because they don't fit in this box. But it's at least something. And they're recognizing it's real, which is a huge deal. All right. Which is a collection of symptoms such as pain, fatigue, and difficulty thinking or brain fog. The other thing that's happening is in both the Johns Hopkins study in 2022 on chronic Lyme, and then the Belgium study 2022 on chronic Lyme or post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome, I should use that term. They're including neurological symptoms. I think in the Belgium study, which I can throw up references to both these if you'd like to go look at them, but 6 of the major 12 symptoms that they're measuring in post-treatment Lyme disease are neurological. We've known it can cause pain, joint pain, muscle pain, nerve pain. We know it can cause fatigue, but also it's undoubtedly causing these vast array of neurological symptoms. And there's also recognition that it's causing those nerve symptoms. So this is important because you're going to neurologists and you're going to psychiatrists and psychologists for the neurological symptoms, for the brain symptoms, and realizing that Lyme not only causes pain, where you're going to pain clinics, where you're going to rheumatology clinics, but also it's getting into the neurological and the psychiatric part, because Lyme disease, it's the nervous system. Being a doctor who does so much work with neurological Lyme disease, it's nice to see nerve symptoms start to show up in articles like this. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimate 500,000 people roughly in the United States are infected with Lyme disease each year, and between 10 and 20% of them experience PTLDS. Once again, there's 2 studies from 2022. One has a 6 to 20% range. One has a 10% range. And then they theorize a 20 or 30% range on the upper side. I'm not exactly sure where they're getting the upper 20. I think that's a guess. But we do know it's at least a 10% failure rate, even in the most perfect of ideal circumstances for getting the antibiotics. And we do know that many people do not get the antibiotics within the first 2-3 months, which is where they're the most effective. But still, if you got 500,000 people a year and 10 to 20% are developing chronic Lyme or post-treatment Lyme disease, that's a huge number of people. This is now being recognized just like, well, these are the numbers. I do want to highlight that the main thrust here is they're still trying to convince major medicine that this is a pretty big problem and we should throw more money and more research at it. I think that's the big gist here. As tick-borne diseases, including Lyme disease, become more common and widespread in the United States, it is increasingly urgent we understand all the facets of the disease, including the root cause of post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome, says the acting director. Okay, great. I love root cause. They're going after root cause. I love going after root cause. Too often, I think medicine doesn't go after root cause, so we like that. Quote, we anticipate that the research supported by these awards will provide vital information on how to diagnose and treat this complex set of symptoms. Okay, that sounds good. I do want to go down and say, let's just look at what the 5 studies they're funding are, because we're looking at diagnosing and treating. Okay, 1, to Virginia Tech. The natural release of unusual peptidoglycan fragments drives persistent Lyme. Okay, that is looking at what's causing it, these persistent fragments. So they're still looking at what's causing it. That's a study on what might be causing it. Cool. Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Unlocking serology secrets, harnessing novel immune biomarkers to predict Lyme disease progression and recovery. Okay, they're looking at novel immune system markers. This is a testing thing. So we're looking at immune system markers in people who might have Lyme or post-treatment Lyme. Once again, that's more of a diagnostic study. Okay, the next one, autoantibodies as predictive markers for post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome. This is looking at possibly Lyme interacting with autoimmune diseases. So once again, we're looking at testing. This is another one of those testing diagnosis studies. Okay, Johns Hopkins, determinants of post-treatment phenotypes. That's symptom subsets. So this is a study about the different symptoms and the different ways Lyme might look or post-treatment Lyme might look. Once again, this is about accurately diagnosing and understanding what it looks like when you come in and what the symptoms can look like. It's going to be pain, fatigue, neurological symptoms are the big categories, but they're looking for subsets. Can we subdivide people in, and can we understand what it looks like for these people? Once again, that's diagnosing. I haven't had a treatment study yet. Let's see. Here's the 5th study. Arizona State, discovery of early immunological biomarkers for the risk of post-treatment Lyme through medicine learning assisted, which is code for through AI. So this has got some computer technology in it. Once again, we're looking at immune markers for the risk. This is another one of those diagnosing marker studies. So very excited that we're getting 5 studies in here. They're really aiming at defining the problem and diagnosing the problem and new immune tests that might be useful. We're really not getting to any kind of treatment yet. Okay, so both good that it's real, exciting that we're realizing how big of a problem it is. They're still miles and miles away from getting to any kind of treatment. And that's part of the sad part. Now, the other thing that Lyme people like me and some of my colleagues are really concerned about is, well, they've recognized Lyme. 90+% of people who have chronic Lyme have co-infections. There's no mention of Babesia here. There's no mention of Bartonella. There's no mention of Anaplasma. All the co-infections are not added to the picture yet. And that's a huge problem in the chronic or the post-treatment Lyme community. And they're just really not there yet. Now, the other thing we'll see, there is a $3.2 million is what the grant is. And from my understanding, this is divided amongst the 5 studies. So this is not a lot of money. We have some numbers from 2018. For those of you who don't know kind of NIH research numbers, we've spent $3 billion on AIDS in 2018. That's billion with a B. 200 million on malaria, 400 million on tuberculosis. And in 2018, we spent 30 million total on Lyme. So 3 million on post-treatment Lyme disease or chronic Lyme is still a very small amount of money. So we're very happy about it. They're doing more studies. That's wonderful. There's been acknowledgement that it's real, acknowledgement that it's happening, acknowledgement that there's nerve symptoms. Awesome. They're still missing the co-infection piece. They're still really just doing research that's trying to show how big of a problem it is, which they'll then use to argue they need more money for more research. So this is exciting. It's in ramp up phase, but this is really the beginning of, ramp up. So this is an exciting announcement. I love seeing it. And as I said, I want to be positive about this. To have the recognitions coming is good, but there's still so much work to be done in the Lyme world for co-infections and for actually, getting to the heart of really helping people with mainstream. So that's still a long way away. But it should no longer be acceptable for your doctor to say, we don't believe in Lyme, or chronic Lyme's not a thing or it doesn't exist, because we've got the CDC saying it now, we've got the NIH funding research on it now. They could say, I'm sorry, we don't know the best way to help you yet, but we really can no longer have doctors going, that doesn't exist, or we don't believe in it. That's just now been proven wrong after 30 years of those people fighting for it. And that's a huge step forward. I'm Dr. Warren. I hope you found this information helpful, and I hope this makes you hopeful, as we have so many smart people working on investigating post-treatment Lyme and chronic Lyme and helping you eventually feel better, be healthy, and go live your life. Exciting research, pushing those frontiers forward. Still so much to do, but exciting that some of these things that are being assumed here in this article, big wins, and took years and years of fighting to get here. And I'm excited where we can get in the next 5-10 years as this thing grows. Thank you so much.